My name is Jennifer Fendress. This is my persuasive speech. In 2002, after 10 years on Arizona's death row, Ray Crone was released from prison. He was sentenced to die for a murder that he did not commit. DNA testing proved his innocence. He is not the only one. In 2003, in the state of Illinois, Madison Hobley, Aaron Patterson, Stanley Howard, and Leroy Orange received a pardon from Governor George Ryan. This is only after these men were sent to death row on the basis of confessions extracted through the use of torture. In 2007, in the state of North Carolina, Jonathan Huffman was exonerated after his cousin recanted his testimony at trial, saying that he lied to get back at his cousin for stealing from him. Over 130 people have been released from death row since 1973 after being exonerated by the court-ordered DNA testing. On June 29, 1972, in the case Furman v. Georgia, the United States Supreme Court ruled that the way capital punishment laws were written were cruel and unusual and violated our 18th and 14th Amendment right. With a majority 5-4 vote and 9 separate opinions, the judges found discriminatory sentencing guidelines and barbaric enforcement practices. In 1976, new capital statutes were enacted and death penalty by a lethal injection was introduced, making death sentences more humane and now legal in the eyes of the law. The death penalty was enacted to reduce crime and deter criminals, but with a justice system that is prone to error, we cannot take a chance on making an irreversible mistake. Therefore, capital punishment should be abolished. Those seeking retribution for an act committed against a family member believe that death is a just consequence for the crime that has been committed. The survivors of these victims are usually emotional and upset, and they want revenge. And a lot of people refer to the Bible in order to justify capital punishment. This is called an eye for an eye. Though this may seem like a just consequence, if we do take an eye for an eye, then the whole world would be blind. When it comes to irreversible error, many abolitionists or people who are against the death penalty want the judicial system to use caution. Life without the possibility of parole seems to be an equal alternative to the death penalty. Those cells are something that may be worse than death, states Governor Bill Richardson of New Mexico after touring their maximum security unit. Death might be a well-wanted escape after the harsh realities of incarceration. They call this a living death. Those in favor of the death penalty believe that human beings are free moral agents with the right to make choices and decisions and should be held accountable for the decisions that they make. Now, I agree with that. That accountability keeps us safe and keeps us enforcing in the laws. But some people react without thinking. And this is based entirely on that we are all treated equally. The past has a way of shaping our future, and many people who end up on death row are victims of past transgressions and crimes or not mentally capable of making good decisions. This does not mean that the person be sentenced to death, although they do deserve to be punished. These murderers need to be separated from society as a whole and should have to face the consequences for the decisions that they make. But that doesn't mean that they have to die. People say that capital punishment deters criminals from committing crimes. And they agree, but I doubt that capital punishment or the death penalty, people actually think about that before committing a crime. Therefore, I don't think it has anything to do with one or the other. Like we said earlier, life without the possibility of parole is definitely a better alternative than killing an innocent person. 18th to 14th Amendment rights in the Constitution state that we have the right not to be treated cruel and unusual. Methods of execution in the United States throughout history, there's been many forms of execution throughout history that have been popular. The first one being hanging, which was popular around the 1800s. With this method of execution, the prisoner's hands and legs are secured, a blindfold is placed around the inmate's neck, and they put a noose around his neck with the knot right behind the left ear. They then have the prisoner either stand on a trap hole or stand on something, and they kick it out from underneath them. And the prisoner is supposed to fall and break his neck. And if that doesn't work, then he'll sit there and suffocate to death, which can take anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. Another popular form of execution is the gas chamber. In 1924, cyanide gas was introduced as a more humane way, other than hanging, to execute inmates. In this scenario, the inmate is strapped down into a chair in an airtight chamber. The executioner flicks a switch, releasing sodium cyanide into the gas chamber, which creates a chemical reaction. The air then turns into hydrogen cyanide gas. A lot of people can refer to this form of execution as the pain felt during this form is like somebody having a heart attack. Basically, the inmate's heart is being deprived of oxygen, which ends up killing them. In 1976, our constitutional laws changed, and the way capital punishment, they found a way that capital punishment is now acceptable, and it doesn't violate our 8th Amendment right on cruel and unusual punishment. Basically, that means that the person should not be aware or sense any pain during the procedure. The new form that is now legal is lethal injection. In this form of execution, the inmate gets 3 shots stabbed in him. The first shot is an anesthetic, which is used to put the inmate to sleep. The second shot is in order to induce paralysis, which stops the person from breathing. And the third and final action is when they inject potassium chloride into the veins, and that stops the heart, setting forth the punishment that the judge gave at trial. Okay, in 2006, an execution team in Florida had to use 2 doses of lethal drugs over 34 minutes to kill Angel Diaz. The drugs were accidentally injected into his muscles instead of his veins. He spoke during this agonizing procedure, meaning that he was aware of what was going on. But throughout history, the methods of execution, such as hanging in the gas chamber, have been considered humane and animalistic. Death by lethal injection is the socially accepted method used to carry out these sentences, and it's supposed to be painless. No one knows for sure whether lethal injections are painless in other methods of execution. Therefore, I believe that our society should err on the side of caution and find alternatives to the death penalty. I want to thank you guys for sitting through this. Thank you.
Thank you.